welcome to Argate TV. Welcome to the newspaper headlines review of 27th of June 2024. And this is a program that brings you all that happens in the newspaper, looking at the shades of ideas, shades of perspectives, stories that are actually making headlines and throwing some lights, a bit of them, and our opinions, of course, on the issues and how, most importantly, how they affect the people in the society. My analyst here will say how they affect the masses. Okay, let me start right from my right today. Joining me on the program today to look at the papers is Nathaniel Nongo, and from my left I have Emmanuel Chavia. Gentlemen, you're both welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Nongo.
Good to be here.
I mean, good stuff.
Okay, so the season, this particular period, going through the papers and the rest, but let's begin to look at, let me ask you how yesterday, on Tuesday we were here, and on Thursday we're here today. I know you have been looking at the papers. What has changed for you?
Well, the issues are still there, emerging perspectives. The issue in Rivers that we beamed a spotlight on the last time is still taking a different dimension. And also the issue of the Dangote refinery with the independent petroleum marketers is still taking another dimension. And of course, the local issues here in Benue, the issues of post-trading about politicking for 2027, they are already manifesting. Quite a number of issues that, as we scan through the papers, you see that they are just emerging perspectives, not completely new issues anyway.
What is your own take?
Well, just like my good colleague Nongo has eruditely posited, these are just, new chapters of the Book of Lamentations, as the case may be.
Yeah, yesterday throughout the social media, even up to this moment, what is actually bubbling, it's nothing but the wedding of Davido.
Yeah. We were all there online. I saw you.
Chivido, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Chivido. Someone said, is it a new drink?
Yeah, someone is even asking. I thought this was a drink. But of course, it's good to actually, that brought some kind of light, and some people made cash out of it, making content and all of that. But let's go straight into the papers and see what they are saying. Maybe we might just meet Chivido in the course of our discussion. The first paper, of course, is Argate's weekly production, Argate newspaper, and it begins with this banner headline: NAS members are opposing me. That is Governor Alia saying that. And just above the nameplate, you have Governor Alia awards contract for Achoho Awaji Uju Road. And oil marketers opt for fuel import, abandon Dangote refinery. Benue loses another former governor. Again, you have Nigeria, Ghana, 61 other countries facing food poverty. In the middle of that paper, you have governors appoint stooges as LG caretaker chairman. That is LG administrator, ex-LG administrator saying that. And the bottom of the paper says middle-aged man electrocuted in Otukpo. Okay, gentlemen, the banner headline, it's one thing that will have to focus our attention. But look at the rider. Don't use us as scapegoats. Chado is replying him. The governor is alleging that NAS members are opposing him, not to do much of the contracts to the people, not to do a lot. I don't know how this allegation is verifiable.
Well, if it is true, as the governor is alleging, I don't think it may be really correct for NAS members to oppose the governor. But if that is not true, then one would expect that the National Assembly members should collaborate with the governor, that's Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State, to see how the challenges affecting people of Benue State could be frontally tackled. The issues of insecurity are quite real in the heads in our socio-economic fabric in Benue, and National Assembly members, by way of their constitutional mandate. They are elected to represent the interest of the people. But again, it leaves us with a question. What is Governor Alia doing that is making NAS members to oppose him, as he is alleging? But again, you see the writer to that story don't use us as scapegoats. Achado is saying that Achado is a House of Representatives member for Way East, Way West Federal Constituency. And they are all elected on the same political party as Governor Hyacinth Alia. That is the All Progressives Congress. So what is the governor exactly doing that National Assembly members from the same party with him are opposing him? If it is true, as he is alleging, then they should fix their differences, because the interest of the people is what matters here. If there is anything at all that they need to collaborate on, it means the interest of the people must be placed first, and not just their selfish interest, not the interest of Governor Alia, nor the interest of the National Assembly members, because as elected officials, they are there to serve the interest of the people. Benue is bedeviled by a number of issues. The one of insecurity is one that has consistently been there, incessant attacks on our communities. And it behoves the governor to collaborate with the National Assembly members to see how they can close the gaps, allow the peace to reign in our state, in our communities. The herdsmen invasion we have had over time, it also behoves on the National Assembly members to push this cause in the both in the red and the green chambers, to see that Nigerians see what Benue is passing through. And I'm happy that one of the senators from Benue, who is also a part of the National Assembly members, the governor may be alleging that they are opposing, although I have not seen where he mentioned names pointedly. But for Achado to come out openly and say, don't use us as scapegoat, then it means there is a missing link in between that needs to be addressed. But like I said earlier, if it is true, they should fix whatever it is that is making, because I don't believe any National Assembly member will just wake up justifiably and oppose a governor on the same party as they are elected in their own state. So if there's anything that is making him feel that the National Assembly members are opposing him, then let them fix that challenge. Let them do away with that and prioritize the interest of the people.
Chawia, look at what governance entirely is. Of course, security is the first thing to place on the table, infrastructure and so on. I think the governor, I don't know which particular area he's talking about. Is it that he's being opposed in implementing, making sure that the people are safe, providing security? What is your own take on this particular allegation by the government?
In the lead to the program, it was Nongo who used the word horse trading. I want to remind the people that Representative Achado, in a roundabout way, seemed to be asking the same questions that you have asked. He was asking the governor and his aides to point to where they had engaged in any public outing or private outing and called for an uprising or opposition to the governor. It was a pointed remark, even though one must state also that the media handlers of His Excellency Governor Hyacinth Alia said that the governor was not mentioning anyone in particular. But I guess Achado responded on behalf of other members of the National Assembly, because this statement was made in his constituency. So he felt, this is a home match and I need to speak for the others. So the issue now is the House of Reps member, on behalf of all members of the red and the green chamber, did say they have not called for any form of opposition. And since the governor did not advance details as to what the opposition is all about, it will be unfair for us to begin to say maybe they oppose him in terms of security or what have you. The governor has been awarding contracts, underpasses, roads, and has been making a lot of pronouncements. I struggle to see where any National Assembly member has specifically come out to say this or that about him. Even those who are members of the opposition party have been sort of like minding their business. However, there is no smoke without fire. The governor may have grounds to say what he's saying, and he may not want to unveil much. And the National Assembly members may also have grounds to say, look, you're just using us as a scapegoat.
Okay, but this is not the first time the governor is making this allegation. I remember where he said that the National Assembly, some National Assembly members, if you correct me, something like that, that they wrote letters that inviting herdsmen to come in. That leaked video kind of was actually put out there. And many Benue people were asking where is the letters. Up to now, nobody has cited that particular letter that they've invited.
Well, in Gutsav, it was not a leaked video because he didn't say that in a coven or in a hidden place. But let's say it was not an official release from the government, but he was saying it and he knew that he was recorded. These type of statements happen in governance at times when maybe a leader is excited or is under pressure and feels the heat. You can make some of these utterances. But sometimes media handlers have a lot to do to prepare their principals to know that, look, there are some statements if you make, even if they are true, they can be misconstrued.
Yeah, so now you see, that is the first instance.
Yes.
And now the second instance is the one he made in Gwe West Gwe East Federal Constitution, the headquarters. Of course, he didn't mention names as usual. And this one is talking about infrastructure in a sense. So security, infrastructure. But if this is just 1 year in office,
yes,
and this is coming from the same party as you rightly said, if this continues, do you think the masses, because this government is tagged as the government of the masses, do you think the masses are going to enjoy the maximum benefit that actually this government should give to them?
You see, Gustave, earlier on I stated that if there's anything both Governor Hyacinth Alia and members of the National Assembly owe Benue people is to protect their own interests. So they should bury whatever differences. If the governor is concerned, I don't understand why the governor, like you alleged, I mean, you pointed out he had earlier alleged that they had written letters inviting headsmen from whatever part of the country to invade the state. And now I don't think any National Assembly member may do that because they are elected to represent the interests of the people. And also in terms of...
Before you continue, let me just bring in it. The contradiction is one of the National Assembly, the Senator Zam, is the one pushing for the open grazing.
Oh, okay. Now,
so you can see the contradiction.
So now, if really that is a situation as the governor had alleged previously, why will a senator still be pushing for a cause like that? Here is in the constituency of the Gwe East, Gwe West federal constituency, where one of the National Assembly members who is replying to the governor, asking him not to use them as scapegoat. Here is a man who, based on information in public domain, has contributed very substantially in addressing infrastructure deficit in that constituency. And based on this report, what it states is that the governor alleged that he is one of the persons who prevented him from awarding a contract for a construction of an underpass in Aliede, the headquarters of that local government. But I don't think any lawmaker, any member of the National Assembly who is representing Isoha people may want to prevent any infrastructure project that will attract development to the community. And I don't see what power any member of the National Assembly have to stop a sitting governor from citing a project from in any part of the state. But back to your question, like you asked, if this continues, then I see that the interest of the people may no longer be prioritized in the governance of the state, both at the national and back in the state, in terms of what they may be doing. But above all, the interest of the Benue people should be first. If Governor Alia, the government of Benue, which he said is using the toga of being the government of the masses, it behoves the governor to close ranks with members of the National Assembly to see that the best of the interest of the people is protected, both infrastructure-wise, security-wise, economy-wise, on all the facets, to see that the interest of the people is aptly captured.
Of course, we can't leave this this topic by not commending the governor in some areas where he has done. We got the news on the top of the paper here. Yes. The governor has awards, earlier awards contracts for Achoho Awaji Uji Road.
That's a road that is a death trap.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And if that road is constructed, it will make a good.
Thank God the National Assembly member in that area did not oppose this one.
But some of the roads in town too, where the 16 roads we hear famously hear of.
Yes.
Nobody has opposed.
No, nobody has
And
opposed
they are
it.
good roads.
Well, no, what I will say is categorically is like, I mean, Gutsa, like Nongo has posited, the masses are the crux of the matter. Let everyone, every character, every personality involved, every group that is lobbying, counter-lobbying, and trying to remain relevant, let them remember that it is the masses that hire and fire. And your report card, it may look like 3 years is long, but before long, it will expire, and then you will go back again to the masses. So remembering this, let everybody close ranks. Thank God we have a foot in the door at the federal level, in the presidency, in the Federal Executive Council, through the position of the SGF, and every other person that has gotten appointments. Let's bury hatchets and work for the good of Benue people. We have too many problems.
Yeah, in fact, what you just said is very important. I don't think Benue will be blessed in the next 10 years.
Like
It's
this.
blessed, yes.
The best we will ever get, better than this, will be if a Benue son becomes president.
Yeah, because the SGF, numerous federal appointments, the
yes.
governor, you just need that synergy so that will
Yes.
drive all the development to this state.
Once there is that collaboration, but the Ojuawaji Road at Choho, Awaji Oju Road is one project that really excites me. If it is true that the governor has awarded contract for it, it's quite a good one, because that road has been in a deplorable state for several years, and it's one of the economic hubs. I mean, the road serves as one of the nerve centers of the economy of the people of Konshisha, Oju, as well as Way East. And given that that axis seems to be in the past prone to crisis, it will also aid the security in responding to distress caused fast when there are such emerging issues. But we pray that the issue of crisis from that zone recently is also in the news that the deputy governor of the state met with the committee between Bonta and Oju in Konshisha, Oju, Bonta in Konshisha and a community in Oju, to find a lasting solution to the issue of demarcation of boundaries to that. So that road is quite central. So if it is true that the governor has awarded a project for it, then he should be given plaudits to see that it will boost socio-economic activities in that area when finally constructed.
No NAS member should oppose.
We pray so.
No NAS member should oppose that road, because it will actually serve the people. But of course, you can follow us. More stories. You can follow more stories on iGate's website, www.iGateRadioTV.com. You get more stories, and you get to follow what is happening on our page. So these are the stories we have for you. But if you want to know more of this, you go to the page, and you can see there the page 8, and you go to the home page. You can see all the stories that we have for you. Of course, you can at the same time listen to the radio and watch the TV as well in that part. So without wasting much time, let's go to the next newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper. And the Vanguard newspaper here is talking about health. The banner headline is cholera, FG shopping for emergency vaccine. The writer says, as Nigeria records 54 deaths, 1,579 cases in 32 states. That's coming from NCDC. Poor sanitation, contaminated water, reason for spread. Sanwo-Olu, and display product essential information. Lagos government directs stores. That is the banner headline, and we will not take more stories from there. But protesters want declaration of emergency in Rivers as Fubara alleges protesters attempt to bomb a hotel. Above the nameplates of the Vanguard newspaper, you have Ojezua loses bid to disqualify Ighodalo. Okay, and then you have insecurity. 2,600 killed, 50 communities record 135 attacks in Benue. That's coming from Amnesty International. And I think these are the stories we'll take, but let's start with the banner headline. FG is shopping for emergency vaccine. When you say shopping, I don't want to put a FG is looking, FG is begging, or is looking for
desperate situation.
When you look at this, do you know when you are desperate, when you are looking for this is, let's just not sugarcoat this grammar. FG is shopping for, it looks like in football parlance, they say they're shopping for new midfielder. But here, that means the thing is there is none.
Yeah.
So
yeah, at present there is none. According to a reliable source at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the need is dire, and as well, the fact remains that we do not pay so much attention to planning, and not just planning on paper, but executing the planning to ensure that when we have issues, we have proactively prepared for them. Cholera is not entirely new to Nigeria, Ngutav. Cholera has been happening over the years, and we have been having outbreaks in some states. It is a seasonal thing. You can almost predict when these outbreaks will come, but not at the national level. We are seeing it now. So looking at the data and drawing a graph, the relevant agencies should have been, able to advise government well ahead of now to stockpile to stockpile the vaccine, so that we'll not be running helter-skelter. Remember that other countries in Africa have more serious cholera outbreaks, and therefore they are giving prevalence. And cholera is a tropical disease, meaning not many international drug companies produce the medicines and the vaccines for the disease. And when you project all this, you factor all this into your projections, you take steps years ahead of time. What stopped the government from, through the National Center for Disease Control and a plethora of universities that we have with colleges of medicine, from developing a local vaccine? For crying out loud. This is preventable.
100 million question. I don't know how, or $1,000 question to ask there. No, look at this one. When you are shopping for something, when I looked at this and I said federal government is shopping, federal government is not shopping for cash to buy jets, presidential jets. The cash is already there, just looking for approval. So how can federal government act on this speedily to bring out the emergency vaccine that we're looking for? Because as it stands now, it looks as if there is none, and the deaths are 54. We'll continue counting more. I think NCDC is already, the hands of counting is there. So what can we do? What do you think should be done?
You see, I have always argued that we need to address the wrath in our healthcare sector in Nigeria. Because cholera, like Chavia pointed out, here is a disease that oftentimes is a seasonal one, particularly around during this rainy season, when there are prone cases of flooding, and given the general poor sanitation we have in the country, the issue of open defecation has been there long before now, and it is not systematically addressed. Then the federal government, as well as its agencies in the healthcare sector, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, the National Center for Disease Control, should have been more properly funded to develop even local vaccines. Shopping for an emergency one. So what happens when the season is no longer there? Because it's just an emergency one. And by the time cholera is defeated, it means no preparedness is done until we have another season of its outbreak. No. Yeah. I think we need to first of all have the preparedness to address the systemic wrath in our healthcare sector, because Nigeria, as a country that prides itself as a giant of Africa, at least should have some level of minimum investment in the healthcare sector to fix our healthcare facilities and ensure that local vaccines like the one that can serve for diseases like cholera should be available, readily available. So even if it means getting to invest in our scientists, there are Nigeria prides itself as parading some of the best brains that when they go beyond the shores of this country,
Yeah.
they are still the best. When our leaders here exit Nigeria to other countries for purpose of medical tourism, it is on record that some of the doctors who attend to them in some of these foreign facilities
Are Nigerians.
are Nigerians. So it's just about empowerment. It's just about the right investment in that sector. Once it is, once proper funding of the healthcare sector is done, we'll do away with some of these challenges.
The question, my own worry is here, it's, I don't know whether the sensitization is enough in this regard, because as it stands now, the only way we can reduce the number of cases
Awareness.
is awareness.
Well, this is also, I am not laughing because it's funny, but I'm laughing because one would sound like the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way. For us Christians, you know that even before Jesus came, God Almighty, he created awareness. He had to bring someone to say, he's coming, oh, he's coming, oh, he's coming. This should be a budget line item of the NCDC, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the Federal Ministry of Health, in conjunction with international development partners and state ministries of health, even down to the primary healthcare centers and the health departments in the 774 local government councils. On radio, no messages educating the people against cholera. On TV, none. In the newspapers, none. It's the media houses that are doing corporate social responsibility, just as we are doing now. We have on iGate Radio, we have on Perspectives and iGate TV, we have hosted experts to educate people about cholera. But there is no support coming from these relevant stakeholders to push the message across, to let the people know, not scare them, but prepare them with information to avoid. The other day, someone told me that he had to have a devotion with his children and educate them that in school, if you are fond of collecting fruits and items from your classmates, they are not evil, but there is a challenge going on right now. You don't know where they washed or prepared these foods. Please, for the sake of the cholera, don't collect food down to that level.
Yes.
We need education down to that level.
Yeah, if you go out now, if it were in the times of campaigns,
Yes.
you would have seen all posters at the roadside.
Absolutely.
Posters of those who want to become governor, who are vying for the position of governor, president, and the rest. I don't know whether you have walked around town and seen any poster saying cholera, or these are the measures, these are the things, preventive measures of cholera. These are the things we should be seeing on the streets at the moment, because those who don't listen to radio, at least should have, or who don't even watch TVs, should have the opportunity that as they are moving on the road, they are seeing those sensitization materials or awareness campaign materials at the moment. But we don't see them. It doesn't bother you, you think?
It is a part of the problem which we really need to address too, because when we have like right now, we are in an emergency situation concerning cholera outbreak, and we need as much as possible to sensitize the people. Like you pointed out, it costs the government nothing to erect billboards with messages to convey the information to even in dialects,
electronic billboards,
in vernacular languages that people can understand that this is exactly the situation we are in. Because as it is, till now, many people do not know the relevance of improving on personal hygiene.
Yeah.
They do not know the relevance of ensuring regular hand washing with soap and water. They do not also know that if I am to use vegetables, I should wash them properly, or if I am to eat fruits, I should wash them properly. So this is
running water.
Yes.
with salt.
With salt.
Yes.
These are things that we really need to.
So, but you see, when
You mentioned salt, it's right my consciousness of.
okay, when you come to Makurdi, just entering into Makurdi, the first things you see are the taller, big, gigantic
Unipol billboards.
Unipol billboards.
At Wurukum
At this time, we should have something like that.
No, you will see political messages instead of cholera messages.
We should have something like that.
Absolutely.
So that when you are coming in, you should tell what you should. Okay, that's it. We also want to tell the state government to ensure that it mobilizes campaigns for the people, awareness campaign for the people on cholera, so that they can. We not have so much. We've not had the statistics what has happened in Benue State for now, but 32 states affected, that means it's coming home. Like the Londoners will say, it's coming home. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we will continue with the reviews of headlines, newspaper headlines. Don't go away.
The load is too small. See how all the country broke all this side down. Now, we know the fit cross. See how I can't be inside the water. So water they carry us here. The major problem of this was no gutter. There's no any gutter. So if you let it come now, all our house now so far see me inside the water. This sand where they heap here now, there's no way where water will pass again. So the water is closed. We are fishing here. I go and carry my small net one we put there. Now I don't catch because the water don't carry all the net. So now I'm trying to fish another one.
It's not funny at all. We were sleeping. We woke up around 1 a.m. to discover this water. I was having a baby. For me to come out of the room was something else. But with the help of God, I was able to bring out my baby and some of my belongings. But some is still inside the water. There's no gutter outside that the water will be flowing.
Last night's rain in Makurdi, the capital of Benue State, has actually caused a lot of havoc. And moving around, you can see that some buildings are falling down, some fences are also falling down. But of striking, it's behind me here. They've been trapped. They have no way to go. can't go out, and those who slept outside are having access difficulty into their building as well. Children are there, women are there, husbands, wives are there. The children who go to school could not go to school today because of the rain. Look at the compound, is flooded. The water is still, and everywhere you can see for yourself, everywhere is indeed calm. Those who are standing there can't have access to where we are, and those who are outside here can also have access to where they are at the moment. Access to food is a challenge for them. I spoke with one of them from that particular point, but because she couldn't come up to this point, her name is Winifred Archer. She said they have been here since morning. She said usually it happens, but not this early. It happens around August to September. But this year's own, they wonder what could have actually caused the early start of this. Now, the thinking is, if this is happening around this time, which usually they experience it in August to September, one wonders what will happen going forward as the rains have just started. But just to remind you again that children who need food, adults are here, about 50 persons are currently trapped in this building. This is along Ishaya Bakut Road, and this is called George Akume Plaza, just directly opposite Vandika Street. It's pathetic and indeed very worrisome. Government needs to come here and see how they can evacuate these people who are indeed trapped here, and see that they get access to food and get access to the things that they need for the day. This is iGate TV, and we're bringing you updates on what is unfolding here. At the moment, the ones that are trapped there need urgent attention. This is iGate TV newspaper headlines review, and we started with iGate newspaper, and we're going on. Let's go to our next paper, the Sun newspaper, and it comes up with a different headline. The banner headline says, minimum wage, Labour rejects Tinubu's position, and the rider says that describes President's pronouncement to consult with stakeholders as unfortunate, silent on next step. Governors meet over wage orders. And at the bottom of the paper, you have Senate holds emergency session and may consider supplementary budget for Tinubu's presidential jets. Let's go to the next one. We'll come back to the stories here. The Punch newspaper is next, and it carries this story. The banner headline is still talking about Dangote again. Dangote refinery, last week also talked about Dangote. Crude supply crisis threatens oil investments. Operators warn FG. The rider says FG urged to deepen investors' confidence. Dangote allays fear over a refinery fire. Tinubu backs NDLEA to end drug abuse trafficking. The National Assembly resumes plans 2023 budget implementation extension, and how we kill commercial sex worker for ritual. We go to the last one before we come back to the discussion. The Nation newspaper, and it carries this banner headline, banks face tough conditions in recapitalization drive. CBN targets strong banks capable of supporting governments of $1 trillion GDP by 2030. And federal government above the nameplate. Federal government moves to avert shutdown of universities. Let's talking about ASU strike, the plan ASU strike. Police plan data centers for 774 council headquarters. Edo female lawmaker sent out of plenary for improper dressing. That is serious. Tinubu not discriminating against North, says Shetima. Let's go and look at the Vanguard the Sun newspaper. Let's look at these three papers quickly before we continue. Minimum wage is here. Tinubu, Labour rejects Tinubu's position. Of course, Tinubu says he's going to consult our stakeholders.
Yeah, the governors, the 36 governors are already gathering in Abuja to discuss the minimum wage as well as the local government autonomy. When it comes to cholera vaccine, we're shopping for the vaccine. When it comes to the presidential jet, the National Assembly, there's no haggling, no delays. We are discussing the supplementary budget, and if not for the public outcry, those jets could have been parked at the airport in Abuja already in the presidential wing. The people are directly affected by the national minimum wage. It affects what the private sector would also pay, even if they don't rise to as much as what the federal government is suggesting. At least it will bump up wages for people across the board in various sectors of the economy. And yet, with all the patience that has been advocated for from the elites, from the leadership to the masses, it seems like the steps that will encourage the people to be patient are not being taken with the level of speed and alacrity that is needed.
Okay, now we'll look at this. Briefly talk about this Labour, your position on this. This president is saying he's going to consult with the stakeholders, but I think Labour is part of the stakeholders, isn't it?
But you see, part of the Labour has consistently told Nigerians the insincerity on the part of federal government, and I must tell you that I see that manifesting in this fresh move by the federal government. Remember, this is stemming from last Tuesday's Federal Executive Council meeting, which the federal government stepped down discussions on the memo for a new national minimum wage, citing reasons that it is to enable it consult more with critical stakeholders. The tripartite committee that was set up by the federal government was comprised of the federal government, state governors.
Not only relevant,
Yeah,
critical.
They did all the consultation and came up with a report submitted to the federal government, which the president also admitted that he is going to pay what Nigeria can afford to pay. So this fresh move of the Federal Executive Council stepping down discussions on the memo that it will be further consulted, I sense something there.
Maybe the
Labour, as they have consistently said, federal government demonstrates insincerity over this issue. They have seen that, Nigerians should see that Labour is not the problem, but the federal government. Because this whole issue about new national minimum wage, to me, is being dragged for too long. For how long? Negotiations have been done with the Labour. The tripartite committee set up has submitted its own report. What stopped the Federal Executive Council from deliberating that memo and coming up with a position? But again, the silence of Labour on the next step is what worries me, because they have kicked against this, but they are silent on the next move. Let's not hope that one day we'll wake up again and the country will be shut down as a result of a strike.
The big question is, who are the stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders? What's the composition of the stakeholders? If Labour is not part of it,
because all the stakeholders that were involved were put together in that tripartite committee, including Labour and the organized private sector.
But as you are saying, as you are talking here, could you, if your name is mentioned as one of the stakeholders?
Anyway, I've made my position known here as stakeholder on Reggae TV already. So.
But maybe when they draw you to the presidency, I don't know what will happen. But maybe then you have to. But let's look at that. The bottom the bottom of the Daily Sun, you have Senate holds emergency session, may consider supplementary budget for Tinubu's presidential jets.
Which is what I had alluded to earlier, that the area where we really need to be patient, we're not patient. Yes, there might have existed, or there may be a need for upgrading the presidential fleet, but is this the best time for it? And why are we expediting action over this matter as against what affects the masses, such as national minimum wage?
National minimum wage, no emergency meeting.
It would have been good that the Senate is reconvening to address this, because when Labour threatened to, when they actually embarked on strike, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio was one of the persons who intervened. So see, now that the whole issue is dragging, it would have been good that as the Senate is reconvening, the issue of minimum wage would have been on the front burner. The issue of insecurity would have been on the front burner. But it speaks to us that maybe they are just reconvening for the consideration of a budget for a supplementary budget for presidential jets, which, as Mr. Kyari has stated, is that a priority for Nigerians now? If the president gets a new jet, how would that impact on the lives of the average Nigerian who is grappling with economic hardship as a result of the policies of this government that has continued to inflict unnecessary hardship on the people?
Okay.
So I think our lawmakers should set their priorities right. If the Senate is reconvening, let them look at other issues that are affecting Nigerians directly, and not just what we kind of further plunge us into unnecessary.
Many people will say, let's declare state of emergency on national minimum wage. Immediately. Let's declare state of emergency so that this issue can be addressed once and for all. This is not my call, but maybe the masses, of course, the masses will definitely go with this. The people out there, workers will go with that. But let's look at the Punch. Still, Dangote, it's coming on the Punch. Last week, it took, last Tuesday, it also carried the same story, Dangote refinery. We dwelled on this last week. FG urged to deepen investors' confidence. There's the assurance coming. Dangote allays fear over refinery fire. Let's go on with the nations. The nation says banks face tough conditions in recapitalization drive. Again, does this give some hope in the banking sector?
Yes and no. Yes, because there are banks that, every now and again you keep hearing rumors that they are going to be liquidated. So recapitalization is an opportunity for these banks to refloat their stocks, to give an opportunity for newer investors to come in, buy more stocks as approved by the law, and inject some fresh capital into them, or other banks to buy them up. You serve them and add them to their portfolio and rebrand. But then, where I would say no is we keep doing this recapitalization every now and again. There must be something fundamentally wrong with our monetary policy, with our banking and finance policies and governance processes. It's in Nigeria, and then a few years later, it is discovered that they were not, first of all, professionally qualified, financially stable enough to do so. I hope that this time around, we're not going to do favors to friends and cronies and acolytes, but rather make sure that those who are who have something to offer, to provide novel, new, robust, global, best standard banking services or financial services should be the ones to be allowed to recapitalize and maybe open up new banks or expand the old ones or consolidate a few struggling banks into one entity to make sure that Nigeria... I prefer a situation where a bank recapitalizes than it is bankrupt, liquidated, because when that happens, a lot of people lose their deposits. Now, when there is rumor that a bank is about to collapse, people rush and start withdrawing. Added to what we are going through, that will be very, 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 a very sad day indeed. So recapitalization, yes, but I have my concerns.
Okay, there's just a mild one here. Edo female lawmaker sent out of plenary for improper dressing. That means she was spotted from the gate. She was allowed into the plenary. But maybe the speaker was the only one who saw that the lawmaker was, the person who drove her or who raised the objection. I was the only person that saw that she was not properly dressed.
You see, that is to tell you the kind of people we have, some that we have in public leadership. Otherwise, a lawmaker being improperly dressed for a plenary session, an official function, a serious government business, it speaks to the issue of the moral decay in our society. And we should also, as leaders, you are addressed, how you are dressed. So leaders should also be an example.
Lead by example.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Daily Trust. And Daily Trust comes with this story, this banner headline. Niger mining pit collapse, over 30 still trapped 3 weeks after. And Nigeria borrowed 7.71 trillion in fourth quarter of 2024. DMO, and 6 students drowned in Kaduna River after exams. Kenya's president drops tax hike after deadly unrest. That is another thing to look
The
at.
Kenya issue.
Yeah, the Kenya issue. Let's look at them. The two stories. Majorly the Niger mining pit. I thought federal government had banned all mining or illegal mining in the country and regulating them, stiffening the rules to regulate them. So how do we find ourselves here?
Well, the mining ecosystem in Nigeria is also something that has contributed to insecurity, because once geophysical surveys are done by the Federal Ministry of Lands and Survey, and they discover that there are some deposits, suddenly you begin to notice insecurity heightening in such areas. Now, Niger State, when certain discoveries were made, began to experience insecurity, and it was disguised as farmer herders clashes. When these communities were sacked, illegal miners crept in. In some cases, mining through processes that harm the environment, because a lot of poisonous liquids have to be used sometimes to extract these rare earth metals from the quarry that they use. As per the mining collapse, this is something that has been going on for weeks in Niger State, and suddenly discovered that they have not been able to recover all the bodies. And there is the hope for the people who are submerged, the pit collapsed on them, to be recovered, keeps dwindling by the day. A source in Government House had stated that some bodies were recovered and rescue efforts were almost stopped, but the governor of the state insisted that even if it is to recover just on alive remains, it should be done in honor of. And right now, I've been made aware of the fact that the State House of Assembly is trying to work out a local law for the state. When I mean local, I mean at the state level. Now, when we talk about federal government making pronouncements and making things illegal, what about the enforcement? What about the enforcement? You would agree with me that if the enforcement is tight, the insecurity in Zamfara will not occur. It's largely tied to precious metal mining. Niger State has become a hub, and one can say that you find a lot of people from other parts of the country coming into Niger now, not to farm, but to mine, because certain minerals have been discovered. I don't want to let out details, because as people are listening and watching us, there are some who would hear what we are saying and begin to head towards Niger without knowing what they are heading out for.
There's a mining state.
Yes.
The gold state, one would say. 3 weeks.
I didn't say gold.
No. But this 3 weeks, 30 persons trapped 3 weeks after. This is serious.
It's obvious. People trapped for over 3 weeks. I don't think they are still alive anywhere.
Because of the issues of oxygen and lack of water and food. But it's commendable, Nongo, that in a country like Nigeria, where we give up easily, the rescue attempts are still ongoing. That is one aspect of the whole thing that is highly commendable. But the point about awareness is what we still need to drive.
Now, the rescue operation is nice, but from what we're seeing here, that the operation is done manually.
Yes, the mining, even the rescues, taking people into the shaft and bringing them out. There are no pipes running in with oxygen, light, and no rail taking you there. You have to trek. So once there is a problem, you don't even have electricity supply inside the caves.
Yeah, now look at this.
And the rescues by bulldozers and digging by hand.
And look at this again. 3 weeks after. 3 weeks.
Yes.
Did you hear anything like this?
Yeah, it was reported.
It was reported, but this should have taken a national stage. If
that speaks to the fact that the federal government, it's good that the Tinubu government came on board and established the Federal Ministry of Mines and Solid Minerals, headed by the Minister
re-established
Dele Alake. I think the federal government need to be more decisive of everybody just coming to it, and especially the allegations of the illegal miners coming in, and some are alleged to be even foreigners.
They are cartels,
who
yes.
are just taking advantage of our mineral resources and endangering the lives of people. Because elsewhere we also hear of mining, but We don't hear of these mass casualties of collapsed mining pits as we often hear in Nigeria. So the Ministry of Solid Minerals, Mines and Solid Minerals needs to be a bit more decisive in meting out stiffer punishment on those who are compromising the system and endangering the lives of the locals in our community.
The other story there is El-Rufai sues Kaduna Assembly over 432 billion naira probe report. Just quickly, what is your own take? Look, what does this mean to governance in Nigeria? Past governors come, then issues begin to come up, and so on. El-Rufai was touted as one of the best governors in the country at that time. But here's another report coming on his name.
Well, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said, when a government is after you, no matter how innocent you are, you'll be guilty. Meaning, in governance, when you leave the stage, there are issues that people can use against you. So even you who is probing should be careful, because the probe you are probing can even be used against you, that the processes you use to administer the probe is wrong. For instance, El-Rufai has gone to court. In Kano the other day, an emir was removed by an act of the State House of Assembly, and the court came to knock hammer on it that this was not done right. In the case of Kaduna State, just like Rivers, it's the clash between a godfather and a godson. And once again, the masses are not going to benefit from this whole exercise.
Anyway, the probings are never ending, so one would hope that as Governor Sani Uba is also initiating the probe, we should know that he would be a former governor. The cycle, let it continue.
Yes.
Since the whole probing cycle does not want to end in Nigerian politics, let it continue to go around. But if you're on the seat, always know that what you are doing, the actions will come.
On a lighter note, I'm going to recommend a probe into his beards. Why, in spite of this agbadonomy, his beards are still looking like the economy is not affecting them.
I think this is a total distraction to governance.
Absolutely.
It's a total distraction to governance. Face your front and keep going. Just keep going.
Deliver.
Just deliver and go ahead.
Because in the end, nobody will ask you the scorecard of the past person you.
It's your own scorecard.
It's your own scorecard.
And it's normally a dull student that will say, "Papa, I know do well, but our neighbor carry last."
Because this, you can't go saying maybe for campaign for a second term and said, one of my achievements is I probed
former governor
El-Rufai. They'll be asking you, what have you done?
Or vote me for second tenure. Let me
continue with the program. It's all right, and on that note, that is where we have to end the newspaper headlines review on iGate TV. We thank you sincerely. I must thank you, Emmanuel Chavia, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Gutsal.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel Nongo, for your perspectives on the program as well.
I appreciate you. What's up?
I know we call you the perspective man already. So my name is Benjamin Gutsal, and see you next time. This program comes up every Tuesday and Thursday, and of course other programs as well come up on our channels as well. Don't forget to also follow us on all our socials. At the same time, also to listen to programs on iGate Radio. My name again, Benjamin Gutsal, saying bye bye for now. Have a blessed day.